Welcome back into the Daily Dose. I'm Jeff Hansen. The show is brought to you by Give'emHellBrigham.com and by CougarSportsInsider.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Great outlets for BYU coverage, so check out both of those outlets, Give'emHellBrigham.com and CougarSportsInsider.com. Thank you for your support. We've had a bunch of new subscribers this week. The channel continues to grow. The platform is growing. That's because of your algorithm fueled, your likes, your comments, your shares. I appreciate you guys so much and your support. Thank you for continuing to support the Daily Dose. And as long as you support, we'll keep coming back each and every day, providing BYU content here at the Daily Dose. The Cougars play Kansas tomorrow. That's great. Everybody and their dog is picking Kansas to win this game. That's less great if you're a BYU fan. But I get it. Jalen Daniels, special quarterback. He really is. There's no overstating. Sometimes I know myself personally, I have a tendency to overinflate how good an opposing quarterback is. Jalen Daniels, there's no overinflating how good he is. He's a very, very good quarterback. And as long as he's healthy, he's dynamic. He's maybe the best overall player in the Big 12 conference. That's how good Jalen Daniels is. So that's a big reason why you would be optimistic if you're a KU fan, why you would think this game's going to go the way of the Jayhawk on Saturday. It's going to be a sold-out stadium at Booth Stadium. I mean, the booth is sold out. That doesn't happen every week. That's great. It's going to be a crazy environment. That's awesome. Devin Neal going great at the running back position. He's looked great. He's looked like one of the best athletes in the conference as well so far this year. There's lots of reasons to be confident if you're a Kansas Jayhawk fan. I get it. So maybe I understand why so many people are picking Kansas. But I can't get this prevailing thought out of the back of my mind that maybe Kansas football, maybe we're anointing them as back, maybe a little bit too soon. And here's some of the things that I've just sort of been rattling through in my head over the course of really throughout the week. I want to go through the wins during Kansas's resurgence. And again, this is impressive. I'm not trying to downplay what Kansas has done, but maybe we're anointing them as a great team a little too soon. Here we go. Here are the teams that Kansas has beat over the last we'll call it a year and a month. Tennessee Tech, FCS team. West Virginia, Houston, Duke. Duke looks great. Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Missouri State, Illinois, and Nevada. None of those teams are powerhouses. I mean, none of those teams you're looking at and saying, holy cow, that was an impressive, nationally relevant win. They're all great wins, especially considering where Kansas has been coming from. But none of them are these overpowering, huge wins. Now let's compare BYU's wins over the same time period. USF, Baylor, Wyoming, Utah State, Boise State, Utah Tech, Stanford, SMU, Sam Houston, SUU, and last week against Arkansas. I mean, one of those you're looking at and you're saying, holy cow, this Kansas team is great. But then you're looking at that other set of wins and it's like, yeah, BYU's okay. BYU's a ho-hum team. They're fine. It's hard for me to reconcile that because those resumes aren't that far different. BYU has a few more clunkers in there, but it's not like Kansas State or Kansas was playing anybody legit. None of those teams that they beaten went on to do anything of national relevance. I don't think any of those wins in Kansas's last year and a month are as impressive as what BYU did to Arkansas last week. So I'm struggling to figure this out. I feel a little confident if I'm a BYU fan. And I think I may have figured out why. It took me a while. I've been mulling this over because I love Kansas. I love Daniels. I love everything that they're doing. But for some reason, I feel a little confident as a BYU fan. I think I figured out where that confidence lies. I'm going to list off for you the pass defense rankings of all of Kansas's opponents where they've won. Tennessee Tech is an FCS school. We don't care. West Virginia, and all due respect to Tennessee Tech fans, but for what we're doing, we don't care. West Virginia had the 111th ranked pass defense last year. Houston had the 122nd ranked pass defense last year. Duke had the 105th pass defense last year. I think you're starting to see the trend. Iowa State, they had the 10th ranked pass defense. They're a fantastic defensive team. They're elite. The Cyclones, even still this year, are a tremendous defensive team. Kansas won that game, but they won it 14-11. It's not like that was a blowout. It wasn't where Jalen Daniels is doing Jalen Daniels things. Oklahoma State, 106th ranked pass defense a year ago. Then they moved to this year. Missouri State, FCS, we're not looking at that. Illinois, the 97th ranked pass defense, and Nevada, the 130th ranked pass defense this year. Kansas has not beaten a team that is really much higher than the sub 100 in terms of pass defense. Jay Hill, you look at what Jay Hill's done. You look at Eddie Heckard, Cam Garrett, Jacob Robinson. The secondary has played very, very well. Now, look, BYU, they're not a top 10 pass defense by any stretch of the imagination. They're ranked in the 70s right now. It's not great, but they have more life and more juice in their secondary than what I think these other teams have shown that Kansas has beaten over the course of the last 2 years. Now, even in Kansas's wins over the last couple of years, TCU last year, 97th ranked, Kansas's losses. They lost to TCU. The Horned Frogs had the 97th ranked pass defense. They lost to Oklahoma, 119th ranked pass defense. They lost to Baylor, 62nd. They lost to Tech, 103rd. They lost to Texas, 90th. And they lost to K-State, the 64th ranked pass defense. They have not played a fantastic pass defense other than Iowa State, and they struggled mightily. They won that game 14-11. I think that it is fair to say that that Kansas has still not been tested offensively in the last year and a half. I don't think they have. And when they have played tougher games against Iowa State, the Iowa State defense won that game, but that Iowa State offense is so inept that 14 points was enough for Kansas to escape with a win. When they've played even average defenses like a Baylor last year or like a K-State, they lost. I mean, look, I don't know. Maybe this is just me rationalizing why I feel confident. But if I'm BYU and I'm that secondary, I'm puffing my chest up a little bit, and I'm looking at this game as an opportunity to really provide Jalen Daniels and the Kansas Jayhawk offense the biggest test defensively that they have seen. I feel confident in that matchup. Now, I don't think that BYU is going to be able to stop and pitch a shutout or anything like that, but I think this BYU defense is good enough and better than what Kansas has seen that they should be able to keep Daniels in check enough to be in the game. Now it comes down to the BYU offense tomorrow. BYU's offense has just been so erratic. I don't know what the right word is because they've looked great at times. When they've had short fields, they've capitalized. They're a fantastic red zone team in the top 10. I think their touchdown percentage in the red zone is currently at 90%, 9 out of 10 times. They've been great in certain aspects of the offense. They've been terrible in other aspects of the offense. Can this offense score 40 points against Kansas? I don't think so. I don't think they can. I think they can maybe score 30. I think they can maybe score 35, call it 5 touchdowns. I think that's probably the ceiling for this BYU offense tomorrow. So if you're the BYU defense, you've got to hold Jalen Daniels to less than 35. If you can do that, then I think BYU has a shot to win this game. If you hold Jalen Daniels and the Kansas offense to less than 30, then I'm feeling pretty darn good that BYU wins this game. So can that defense do it? I kind of think so. I don't think Kansas and Daniels has seen a defense really as good as what BYU is. And I don't think that BYU's defense is great. I just don't know that Kansas has been tested like we would think that they have just looking at their resume blindly. I don't. I look at BYU's wins over the last year and a little bit, and first 3 weeks of the season this year, and I don't see anything that, completely blows me away and makes me think, hey, this is a juggernaut of a BYU team. But I look at the resume and stack it up against Kansas. It feels the same. It feels the same. And yet for one reason, for one team, we're kind of anointing them as the next big thing. And another one is lucky to be here. And I'm struggling reconciling that in my brain. I really am. I think Kansas is great. I love this offense that Kansas runs. I love Jalen Daniels. And I think it's going to be a fun game, a dynamic game, and a well-coached game. I think this is close. I don't think either team blows either team out. The spread is currently sitting at 9.5. It's been as high as 10. That blows my mind that BYU is a 10-point dog. I can't reconcile that either. That one I'm struggling with. I get that BYU would be an underdog in this game, but that feels like a really, really big spread. And if you look at the point totals in this game, it continues to decrease. The point total has dropped 4 or 5 points so far since opening. So Vegas and bettors, they're not expecting a high-scoring game. And in my mind, a high-scoring game is what Kansas wants. If it's a low-scoring game, I think BYU probably has the advantage. So I don't know. I'm a little curious. I'm a little anxious. I'm a little confident as a BYU fan going into the booth tomorrow against Kansas in Lawrence. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe we're all, the comments are going to blow up. And maybe on Monday when we come back, everyone could tell me I'm an idiot because maybe I am. And I probably am. And I certainly am for other reasons. But for this reason, on this day, for this game tomorrow on Saturday, I'm feeling pretty confident if I'm a BYU fan. All they need is to keep it close. And then I like BYU in the fourth quarter. They can lose this game in the first half. BYU can't win this game in the first half, but they can lose this game in the first half. The Cougars start off strong, and if they're able to get their feet underneath them defensively and show Jalen Daniels in this offense that, hey, this is a tougher test than what you're used to seeing, then I like BYU flexing their muscles a little bit in the second half. I like the defensive front seven a lot. I love BYU's linebackers. I think that is the matchup of the game. How does AJ Vongphachanh, how does Ben Bywater, Max Tooley, how do they contain Devin Neal, Jalen Daniels in this offensive attack for Kansas? The winner of that matchup, I think, wins this game. And I really like BYU's linebackers. I really like Jalen Daniels too, but I really like BYU's linebackers. Love that front seven a lot. I feel okay. I feel pretty confident. So there you go. That's my prediction. That's what I think. Maybe that's rationalization of unfounded confidence. It might be. That's okay. I'm excited for this game. I'm excited that Kansas football is good because I think it's good for the conference. Their fans have been fantastic to interact with throughout the week. I've been on a number of different podcasts and radio shows in Kansas, in Lawrence, in the area. It's fantastic. One of my favorite fan bases that I've interacted with so far in the Big 12 Conference. Really, really looking forward to this game. And yeah, kind of confident if I'm a BYU fan. Appreciate you guys coming back and tuning into the Daily Dose. And until next time, give them hell.